Thank you. And I'm going to start with a story because I'm also optimistic, because 35 years ago, Sarah and I were both named on an injunction not to go back to Greenham Common, where we were both living, to oppose the US nuclear weapons being brought in. We both defied that injunction. We kept campaigning. Hundreds and thousands of women actually signed, and this is an idea for your campaign actually, given that you've been being given an injunction here, signed affidavits with lawyers saying that if any of us, we were 21 of us, if any of us was arrested and held, and actually we faced up to 2 years imprisonment just for breaching that injunction, if any of us was arrested for going back to Greenham Common, then they would leave their jobs, their families, their homes, their kids, whatever it took, and come and live at Greenham Common instead of us until we were released and until the missiles went. And, you know, literally hundreds of women were signing that. So for every one of us that they would have arrested, actually, there were so many more who said, we will take their place. None of us actually got arrested. It was scary going back. I got released from Holloway and immediately went back, and that was scary, wasn't it, to go back the first times. And, I mean, Sarah had her first child at Greenham after that injunction. So baby was born there after we had been injuncted not to be there at all. And that's why I have hope here, because I know that it is with the kind of persistence and determination of all of the people here and all of those who are with us in wanting to stop HS2, that it can be stopped. I am also Green, and I stood in the 2015 election for Hampstead and Kilburn, and HS2 was a really big issue there. And I can remember speaking in a local church in Kilburn, and a local community activist wanted me to arrive early because she wanted to show me what would be destroyed by HS2. And she took me to the local school, and she took me to the local children's playgrounds, the local youth club where she worked. She took me and showed me housing, shops that people lived in and worked in and needed, part of their community, all of which would be demolished, destroyed. And she was working in this area where kids, you know, youth clubs were a vital lifeline for kids to keep out of trouble. A vital lifeline for kids to keep off the streets and be able to keep away from drugs because of what they were offering. And these were being destroyed for HS2. You heard the reason. I mean, you know, Greens, we're really for public transport and we love the railways. But HS2 is not about public transport. It's not about the railways. It's not about, you know, the need for the public to be able to travel. It's a vanity project, and it's about the destruction of the environment for a few minutes, as Jonathan said, of extra speed. And that is why we have to oppose it. And today, we went on Sarah's barge down this beautiful canal and just seeing nature. And again, it reminded me so much of Greenham, as did the wood smoke, frankly, as a cup of tea was made for me when I first arrived. In that, it's so beautiful here, and they are trying to turn it into this monstrosity. At Greenham, it was the military. Here, it's profit. Profit for a tiny number of pockets. It's not for the real people at all. This is not about jobs and real transport. It is about a vanity and a tiny bit of profit for a small number of people, and that's why it has to stop. But as Sarah said, I was the co-organizer, the co-founder of the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons that actually won the Nobel Peace Prize last year. Now, how did we do that? We did it by mobilizing people all over the world to get a treaty, or to get the UN, I should say, to negotiate a treaty that would ban nuclear weapons. And we had to follow every last little possibility in law, in international law, in local laws, in mobilizing people around the humanitarian catastrophe that nuclear weapons are, and that would happen if nuclear weapons were ever used. Well, at Greenham, literally just a decade after Sarah and I were living at Greenham, and we lived there for different lengths of time, and thousands of women came in and out of that. But a decade after the peace camp started, the missiles had gone, the Americans had left a base that they'd been in occupation of since the 1950s, and that base has been turned into common land again. Now they had to restore all those trees and all that beauty of nature that they'd ripped up. We can stop that here. We've taken on the might of the American military, as well as the British government, the Thatcher government. Here, it's corporate might that we're taking on. But it has to be easier to turn it round on this. I haven't met anyone who actually wants HS2. I've only met people whose lives will be turned upside down by it, whose lives will be destroyed, whose homes, whose schools, whose community, children's playgrounds and youth clubs will be destroyed by it. We have to get this message across, and we have to connect back again to our roots in this beautiful, beautiful land. As I was sitting at the front of Sarah's barge, a Greenham song was coming to me over and over again. It was running through my mind, and then some other little verses added themselves to me. And I sang it for Sarah, who thought it was a good idea if I would sing it for you and with you here. And then maybe some of you will also recognize the tune, but please sing along with it. So the first verse is as we sang it at Greenham. Because yes, it's raining, but rain is our friend. It makes things grow, makes everything grow. And we are part of nature, and that is why we are trying to stop this monstrosity. The rivers are growing, flowing and flowing. The rivers are flowing down to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I'll always be. Mother Earth, carry me until we are free. The earth, she is crying, crying and dying. The earth, she is crying for us too, and we're hurting too. Mother Earth, carry me through fields on and to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me and stop HS2. The rivers are flowing, flowing and growing. The rivers are flowing and we're growing too. Mother Earth, carry me through fields over to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, we'll stop HS2. Okay. So thank you all.